Hey everyone, welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. I'm here with finally my friend Andrew.
I'm back.
He's still on this podcast. We were having second thoughts of whether or
Contrary
not,
to all belief, I am here.
contrary to everyone's hopes and dreams, you're still here. And today we have a special guest. He is a youth pastor. He lives off that tithe money. He ministers to students, right?
I do.
And
I do.
little kids, and he's here in our house.
I typically live off drug money, but the tithe is good too whenever we get that. So whatever we can do.
There's one time we were in Houston, Texas on a mission trip, and we
time?
actually were at a park doing a Bible study,
Yeah.
and noticed that there was a drug deal going on.
Oh, yeah.
So we took the drugs, and then we didn't know what to do with it. Like, we took the drugs.
So we smoked them.
No, we put it in the
Right.
offering plate at the church we were hanging out at.
Oh wow, nice.
And
that's a good idea.
yeah, and then we heard stories a month later where they were like praising the Lord for somebody giving up their addiction, and we're like, let's just let them think,
Yeah,
let them keep thinking that.
yeah.
Because that's a good story.
I went
for
on a
them.
mission trip to Mission Arlington. It was probably my first mission trip, and in that time we were. Mission Arlington, I don't know how it was, I don't know how it is now, but about 10, 15 years ago, it was a little more ghetto. And we would stay in these little ghetto churches, and we were in an apartment complex. We were working in an apartment complex, and every night when we'd go back to the church, we'd lay down, we'd sleep, and you'd be woke up in the middle of the night by gunshots. And so we had all these teenagers. I was the teenager too. And at one point, I walked outside, and there's these three people just beating the fire out of each other, and like I didn't know if they're gonna get stabbed, and like we had to minister to those people. So at a 14-year-old level, that's pretty scary. So, but
that's not what we're here to talk about.
of course,
I actually do want to talk a little bit about youth ministry. I previously, it's been like 10 years since I've been in youth
Been a
ministry.
while, yeah.
So
is that legally like you're not allowed to be back in it, or is that?
Yeah, they have a restraining order.
there's a restraining order.
yeah.
No, but what I was talking to the youth pastor at our church, and I was
Do you
gonna,
have one at your church?
kind of.
Okay.
He hangs out
Okay,
with
yeah.
kids.
No.
So, yeah, a youth pastor.
Yeah.
Exactly what they do.
Yeah.
A glorified
Pizza hangs
babysitter.
out with kids.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Well, and I'm going to ask you this
Okay.
because I don't know if I could handle youth ministry anymore. Kids, one, they annoy me, but then two, ministry is different now than what it was 10 years ago. Kids are going through a lot of different things. So I met you were a student at Cornerstone Church, right?
Yep. Before my sex change.
Before your sex change, and it was a very awkward time. To like, do you go with the girls' cabin or the boys' cabin at Falls Creek?
Yeah,
we
I
didn't
kind of
know.
slept in the middle. So
So that's why you shop at Target?
yes, that's why. Yeah, well, it's too rich for my blood. I'm more of a Dollar General guy. The DG for life.
And so, how has youth ministry changed? Because to me, it was pretty more surface level. It was a lot of fun and games. But I hear some of the stories of the kids now, what they're dealing with. How have you had to adapt to those changes?
Yeah, youth ministry is different. I grew up in the student ministry. My senior pastor, my boss right now, is my youth pastor, or was my youth pastor at that point. It is a different animal. Like I think about 15 years ago, I think about 2002, 2003, and that time, like it felt like the Wild Wild West compared to what it is today.
The Wild Wild West.
And we just did everything and anything. And maybe that was just our church. Maybe we just broke a lot of rules. But it was pretty wild. Like today it's a little cleaner, a little more sanitized, I think. There is still issues, but I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, right? And so the issues that kids are dealing with today really, I mean, it's still the same issues they're dealing with then. It's identity. It's sadness, it's pain, it's depression. It's still the same thing everyone's dealt with. I mean, the way it's changed probably is more or less, a little less family oriented. There's not a lot more divorce, a lot more brokenness in that area. I think that maybe 10 years ago, I don't have statistics on that, but that's what it feels like. And so you have a lot more busyness going on too. So everything competes with student ministry on Wednesday nights. I remember back in the day, they never had Wednesday night sports or Wednesday night practice or Wednesday night plays. And that's the norm. I see youth ministry shifting to a Sunday night model even because of all the competition with Wednesday nights. And so that's some of the things I've seen.
So you're just going to conform to the world
Yes.
instead
Well, now-
of changing?
That's been my whole life.
Sand Springs in general, they don't do Wednesday night activities,
No, they do.
They do
Yeah,
now?
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of that. So, I wish I knew someone on the school board, but I don't. Do you know you guys? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think so.
No, I'm just kidding.
Isn't our pastor on the school
Yes.
board?
He's the president of the school board.
No, there are. Yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff.
So, see, I've even checked out of the youth ministry.
Yeah.
So I don't even know.
So youth ministry doesn't have a biblical precedent, right? I mean, there's
Right.
nothing in the Bible says that you need to have a
Right.
youth ministry.
Well, I would say that could be with Sunday morning church also.
Oh, okay, yeah. The ecclesia, okay.
But yes, youth ministry.
You've obviously never listened to our podcast.
No, I've checked it out a little bit. Let's just talk student ministry. Like, there is really no true precedent for it, and so all we're trying to do is help inform and guide families alongside what they should be doing. Like, a student pastor's job, as bad as it sounds, I love all student pastors in our community, but like, it should really not even be there most of the time. It should honestly be, I'm saying a lot of things. The goal of a student pastor is to affirm the things that the parents are already teaching at the home. But that is 90% not what happens.
Or what they should be teaching at the home.
Exactly.
Because as a friend says, 9 times out of 10, half the time, Megan, that the parents aren't going to church. They're just dropping their kids off.
Dropping the kids off. And we are blessed at Hillspring because we do have a lot of parents that are involved and a lot of parents that do both. But it's still, you live in a culture, and even in Sand Springs, I know we're Bible, Belt, Buckle, all those, but you're in a culture that just has so much saturation of works-based religion on top of, I got to look clean, on top of, also don't mess with me about my spirituality. So, like, there's just a lot of weird things in the culture, even here in Sand Springs. And so, I don't know. I do love youth ministry, though. I really do. I'm not down on it. I think it is. When I say there's no biblical precedent, I'm glad we get to do it. I think it is an important ministry. My life has changed in student ministry. So.
That's a good plug to...
Did I answer anything there?
I don't know.
Okay, good.
By the way, I don't know if I ever said your name. Matt Barnett.
Hey, I'm Matt Barnett. How are you guys?
Good job, Dusty.
Hey, you know what's really funny? Okay, so you grew up in Cornerstone,
Yep,
right?
it's Cornerstone,
And
yep.
then you guys changed the name to Hillspring
Yep.
to be more relevant, have a .tv at the end,
Yes.
match that Life Church,
Yes.
look.
Oh, man, all I want to do is be Craig Rochelle.
I visited a church, a new church plant in Tulsa. Guess what their name was?
What?
Cornerstone.
So we changed our name. There's a lot of reasons. Like, dude, if you go to Mardell's, like, who would want to, honestly? But if you had to.
Christ alone.
Yeah.
Cornerstone.
Anytime we ask for our, like, we put something on a charge account, there's like 150 Cornerstones in like a 10-mile radius. So you have that issue. And then I think, like, right down the road from us was another church called Cornerstone. The pastor was, like, embezzling a bunch of money. And so we're getting calls all the time, like, so why is your pastor stealing money? And I was like, well, you guys don't know about that yet. Like, we are, but no, I'm just kidding. But honestly, we went to 2 campuses for a little bit there, and we had always wanted to change the name. It was time. The Cornerstone holds we had a big split in 2007, and a lot of people still hold that in, like, when you think of Cornerstone, you think of a big split.
I don't.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people do, though. A lot of people are like, "Oh, that's that church that split,"
Because the people you don't even want at your church anyway.
I know. But we were running 700 people at that point.
Number dropped.
And it dropped. Yeah. I will drop my numbers all day long and tell you that I run 10 kids every Wednesday night. I don't care. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we just want to change. So cleverly, right? If that's a word, we're in Berry Hill and we're in Sand Springs. So Hillspring, there we go. So.
Oh, not that you're on top of a hill. See, I always thought it was just because you're on top of a hill on 41st Street.
Yeah, no.
But didn't your other campus have the name first?
It did. Yep. And so that was a thing we learned, just a marketing thing. Like, if you looked at the way our graphics worked, Hillspring was a very small part, and then there's this big Cornerstone, and they just kept getting bigger with the Hillspring, and we finally we gave up.
So you guys prefer Berry Hill over Sand Springs because it could have been Spring Hill.
Well, everyone thinks we're Spring Hill, so that's why we're either Hillsong, Spring Hills, Hill Springs. I mean, we're everything. So
if you were Hillsong, man, you'd be paying those royalties.
We did a See the Poll, and our band did it, and we called ourselves Hillspring United. So it was stupid.
But
but
it's like a
I hate Berry Hill, so no, that has nothing to do with that. So, no, I'm just kidding. I do love it. No, they're okay.
If your kid wants to come, I do love it.
Berry Hill just had a bomb in their neighborhood last week, so just think about that. So
one thing with youth ministry is it's not all fun and games, right?
Yes, it is. No, it is.
It is fun
It's
and games?
basically that, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's one thing that's
No Bible.
changed.
And trying to etch out worship a little bit. So, yeah, fun and
Yeah,
games.
just play the game. You're the game guy.
I'm the game guy.
You're
no,
the
I'm
game guy, babysitter.
So they call you Bob Barker?
Yeah.
So in youth ministry, when I was in it 10 years plus years ago, we used to have this running joke of kind of other duties as assigned, because
Yes.
like we always said, like what was it? Ministry happened during the interruptions of our schedule. So like on our schedule, we're trying to get the service and stuff planned for Wednesday, but our true ministry happened when we'd get a phone call. This is a true story. Got a phone call where it was a summer, parents were at work, and this kid who was in 7th grade put a bolt on his finger and it was stuck.
Oh, no.
And so we had, Rusty and I had to go over to his house and get the bolt off his finger.
Butter up his finger and pull it off? What'd you do there?
Basically, yeah, we buttered up his finger, used some pliers, tried to cut it off a little bit. Like, it was just, just one of those weird.
Yeah.
There was another one where we were getting ready to play, we were having it was before laser tag was popular or able to play at a youth ministry event, but it was like this super soaker thing where everybody had a target that they attached to them, and the water would disintegrate the target, and so if you were hit, that's your target.
Dusty,
would be gone.
You allowed kids to point guns at each other?
With water in them. Yes.
Oh my goodness!
The Wild Wild West?
No wonder why.
Wild West back then.
No wonder why you're no longer in youth ministry.
Well, to test out whether or not that would work for what we're wanting, I had to wear it while Rusty sprayed me with a hose to see how long it would take for that thing.
You couldn't put it up against a wall?
Yeah.
I guess we could have.
Yeah. That's youth ministry logic, though. I mean, it really is.
Well, you just don't know. You got to. The real life situation, kids are going to be running around getting soaked with water.
Exactly. Exactly. That's
so have
good.
you? What are some of the things you've had to deal with in the other duties as assigned aspect?
There's a lot. So in my actual title at Hillspring is associate pastor, and student ministry is one that runs under that. But
you don't even want to be associated with student ministry.
I'm very. That is a pet peeve of mine. I'm very proud to be a student pastor. I know so many student leaders and student pastors that just want to be a senior pastor, and they could care less about youth ministry, and I think that is so toxic.
Well, we did a podcast. That's like the natural step ladder of working up in a company. That's how you kind of work up. You start children's ministry or music ministry, and then you become youth pastor, then associate
It's not like
pastor.
you have a calling to be a pastor. You have a calling to be a youth pastor, and then now it's a.
That's one of our pet peeves. Is the higher up you go in the church, the higher your income goes. So,
exactly.
So
God always calls me to hire more.
You might be called to youth ministry, and I know people that are in their 50s and 60s that are still called to youth ministry, but their budget wise, they have to pursue the higher up.
No, and that's real. I understand that. I know a lot of guys, and it's usually young 20s Reform guys, and I love Reformed theology, but it is those guys that, and maybe I'm pigeonholing too much there, but it's those guys that are a little bit above teaching students. And I can't get with that, man. The students are too important, too valuable. Satan is trying to steal a generation away. He's always been trying to do that, but he's really, just this generation is there's a lot going on, and to just look at it as a stepping stone is so pathetic to me. I can never understand that. Duties that are, man, I had a ton of things, man. I am a professional carpet cleaner. I've learned how to work websites, graphics. I've learned how to clean toilets. I'm a van guy. I know how to plan marriage retreats, even though I'm not married. There is tons of different things that come under that realm. So a few things that have happened. I have had every pastor has to move someone at some point, right? Like we always have to get out and start moving somebody. And randomly. So I remember I was at a house and I was helping someone move. I have a big phobia about snakes. I don't know if you guys love snakes. They're disgusting and they're evil creatures.
No, because the Bible tells me you strike them with my heels. So
exactly. And you should. And so I'm helping this one guy move, and dude, he's a blessing from God, obviously. Little messy though. Little messy guy. So, and he failed to tell me that in the process of moving him that he had a python. And if he would have told me that, I would have been cool because, python's in a cage and whatever. Well, but the python's not in a cage, right? So we're hanging out and we're starting to move everything and we're getting things around. And this place is pretty bad. It's pretty nasty. There's cockroaches everywhere, stuff like that. Well, I'm lifting up his couch and we're getting one side of it. And as I lift up his couch, this python falls onto my arm. I thought, what the heck? And
did you say heck?
Yeah. So
censor that.
Yeah. So it was disgusting. So there's one of those. So you're always a mover. I have had numerous and many times where this one might not work for this podcast.
Oh no.
So I took a group of teenagers. Our youth ministry is very junior high centric, and I don't think this is going to work. But these young girls that coming into age have their female things happen, and I don't know anything about that stuff. So for me to just call it their female things, I don't know what it means. But at one point, we're on a mission trip, and I don't know how it all happens, but every single one of them had their first period that trip. And there are at least 6 of them.
Code blue.
Yeah. And they're coming to tell me, and my leaders are trying to talk in code, like, oh, they just need to go here. I'm like we're doing mission work. I'm like, no, they don't need to go there. We need to be right here, right now. And I'm yelling at them and I'm screaming at them. And then I realize, oh, there's something else going on. And so I'm going to buy a bunch of tampons and all that kind of stuff. And I still have a backpack from that mission trip that is like loaded full of tampons, right? So I'm a tampon carrier at this point.
Never again will you have to make a late night Walmart run.
No, never again. So there's that. Man, there's so many things that come under that, man. There's so many different things that happen. You got to come up with stupid games in youth ministry. Got to keep them entertained to some extent. I'm not about entertainment and student ministry the whole time, but you got to do something to break 20 minutes. And so there's a lot of different things, but yeah, I love those roles though. I would not change. No, I would change some things, but I wouldn't change the path of ministry that I've been on for the last couple of years for anything. It's been great. So, did I answer that question? Because I don't think I did.
I didn't know what that question was.
You did 2 stories at the same time.
I did. I mean, I don't. What happened? I preach.
What happened to the snakes?
Yeah. So, what happened in that situation was I dropped the couch. I put the middle fingers up and I walked out the door. All right. So I'll be honest on that one. So, yeah. So that's one.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, a snake wouldn't have bothered me. The roaches would have. Ugh.
Yeah, you know
those
what?
Just creep me out.
I grew up pretty poor, and so we grew up with a lot of roaches.
Well, so did I.
So, did you have a clean house?
No.
Did you have roaches?
Yes.
Okay, so it does bother me. Like, that's disgusting, but...
And I think it's because it takes me back to my childhood, which is something I've always tried to forget.
Yeah, that's isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You grow up like that, and you I have this lingering fear in my head that I'm going to one day be back in that situation. I don't know why. Are you married?
I am.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I have this feeling that if I got married, the woman's going to divorce me, which, I mean, obviously, probably it's going to happen. But
it's happened to me, bro. It's not good.
Yeah, look at his tattooed finger.
Shut your mouth.
Oh, do you have a tattoo of it?
I have my wedding.
That's cool. No, that's fine. So, head down. This is sad. But I do. I feel like I'm going to move. It's 49th Street in Sand Springs. I'm going to move back to that area. And I have a passion to not do that. So, but yeah.
Well, there's generational sin too that's always worried me. Like, I grew up with the family that's really into the drunk scene and the bar scene, so I stayed away from alcohol for a very long time. Just thinking that, something like that could have a hold of me, which is funny. Like, alcohol doesn't, but I do have a really bad addictive personality.
Says the guy who had a kegger on his 21st birthday.
A root beer kegger.
It was root beer.
Root beer? Okay. Yeah. That's youth ministry right there.
I didn't start drinking until I was like 23, 24.
Yeah. Do you guys like beer?
Yes.
Or is that are we beer people?
I brew beer.
Do you really?
Yeah, for fun.
That's cool. You
want one? It's only 9 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, no lie.
JK.
I did have one yesterday at 9:30. But
that kind of day already.
Thursday was my day off.
Okay.
It's my only day off in the week. So I was like...
Day drinking, that's when you start having to ask some personal questions about yourself.
But that was the only one I had yesterday, too. So
I'm not, drinking has never been a big part of my life. I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with it. In your moderation, obviously, but I don't I don't know. It's just nasty now. Like I did some in high school, but it's just it doesn't do anything for me.
You got to find the good stuff.
Yeah.
Stop drinking the nasty stuff.
I don't know. Man.
Like Dusty's made some Dr. Pepper beer. He didn't like it. I liked it.
It's super high out. Like I usually have a beer before house church. We're cleaning house and
it's
stuff.
not bad that you have to have one.
No, it's just like
all these people are coming over. Chug.
No, you just got to get in the spirits before you get in the spirit. You know?
Oh yeah. Okay.
But no, we're cleaning
That's
house and
biblical.
stuff. And the wife and I both grabbed one. I accidentally grabbed the 17 point this week. So and I've been doing this 8-hour eating only diet. It's called intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting.
And so I hadn't had very much today because we have to put off what we're eating till the people get here. And so, 17 points. Like people got here and I was like, whew, let's get this food going because I need something in my stomach.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to tell him 17 point is not a beer.
Yeah, it didn't taste like a beer. It did. It was, and I didn't. If I would have noticed, I would have grabbed like a 6 point or something. But
So do you in youth ministry, because this was a long-standing rule, Dusty, because you probably would know this, were you allowed to drink when you were in youth ministry as a leader?
well, one I didn't, but it was just because I didn't want to.
No.
But I think it's all like at my church. No. Well, here's the thing. Like maybe the pastor was okay with it, but my boss was the youth pastor.
Okay.
Because I was the associate youth pastor. Yeah. So
Slave labor.
under his reign, I was not, and that was totally understandable.
Yeah. Do you think it would be okay for a youth pastor to drink while they're a youth minister?
No.
That didn't make sense, but yeah.
No.
You don't think so? Mm-mm. Why?
Because it's very easy to overdo it.
Okay.
And if you overdo it, you lose control of yourself. And that's when something can happen. Like when my daughter has friends over, I do not drink, period. Okay. If I know somebody's coming over, I don't drink. But
you drink when my son comes over.
You're drunk
different.
right now.
Yeah,
that's
you're drunk right now.
And typically, Dusty.
But it's we're together.
Right.
Yeah.
We're together for life.
That's cute.
His son is actually probably my son.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
My daughter's probably his daughter.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So I have a couple of youth pastor friends of mine that they don't mind drinking. My thing always was, I'm telling these kids not to drink.
Well, it's different though, like because it's the law.
I know there's law there, but they're 14-year-old kid's not going to understand. They just don't see that. Yeah. And maybe we should give them a healthy respect of those things, but they don't see that. They just say, "You tell me I can't, but you do." So how do I work that out? So,
and I get that, and that's especially like if you're in leadership, you probably don't post. I guess it's not on the podcast. We were talking about your trip to New York City. That's a video you don't want to post on your social media.
No, that's a video I deleted. I didn't even want to see that. That was bad.
Yeah.
You know, or like, if you're going out with drinks with friends. Like, I remember, because I grew up with the no drinking, never, ever policy.
That was just the Baptist
kind of
view
way,
of it at the time.
and kind of the legalistic being brought up that way.
Yep.
So when I moved to Tulsa and I saw the worship pastor, like I was at a place having dinner, and I saw the worship pastor at a live church, and he was drinking a beer, I was just like mind blown.
Yeah.
Like, and then I find out like all these people in our church are drinking and smoking, and they're fine with that. But I'm like, wait a minute, like I thought this whole time like that if you did that, you were not a Christian. Like it was kind of my process. But.
And we are Southern Baptists by nature. We're not. We don't lead that way. I think we're Southern Baptist only because it would cost $100,000 to get that off our name.
And there's a funding you probably
Oh, we don't get any fund. Are you kidding me? We fund them. So
that's true. You got a tie.
They don't give us anything. So
you don't get your $100 a quarter check from them?
No, not at all. That's such a joke. I don't know.
They get
maybe
lunches.
I shouldn't say all this, but
right? They give lunches. I've been to a lunch.
Dude,
you just have to go to
why
them.
you got to go to them. Why would I want to go sit around with a bunch of pastors and all they're going to do is talk about how big their church is, how awesome they are, when if you went to the church, there's only 30 people there, and they're not that great.
They have 3 services, but you're counting the same workers every service.
Exactly. I mean, it's a joke. So, so that's crazy in itself. But I don't know. I mean, I do have a tough. I do have a tough time with like cool people trying to be cool. So I'm so edgy because I drink and I smoke. Like, dude,
I wear jeans in a pulpit.
yeah. I mean, like, okay, you're not 18 years old. Like, you're not like shocking. You know, the gospel's shocking. You know, it's not you drinking and flaunting your freedom because you think you're like that's so immature to me. I don't get it. And I'm not saying you guys do that. I might even do some of it, but it's just stupid. I don't get it. So I'm cool with people drinking. I don't care if people smoke cigars. Charles Spurgeon, my hero of the faith, was a big cigar smoker, and I guess that's whatever. But I don't know. So.
I think that's like that gray area, and it's kind of whatever you're trying to. If you're trying to bring the kids up where they don't have that desire to drink, then you probably shouldn't be drinking. You know, as part of that.
And I think that drinking is a good thing, and you can worship God with it. But not me.
Like when I went to a Hillsong, I almost said Hillspring United because you told me a story
Hillspring
earlier.
United concert.
Hillsong United, and we went to a brewery tour beforehand.
Did they?
So that was a
Hillsong put it on, or
no? Like, we were in Oklahoma City.
Let's say now that's why I know why they have so many people. Okay, that makes sense. And why
free beer for everybody.
That's why their hands are always flowing around and they look like hippies at Woodstock. Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah.
But yeah, we do that like because one of the things my wife and I we do brewery tours together. Okay. So like if we're in Dallas, we try to find one in Dallas.
Okay.
You know?
Oh man.
And so that's kind of what we do. And so anywhere we go out of town, we try to find. And it's usually because, you know, beer nowadays, like, you got all these microbreweries, and they all have their different spin on something. Yep. So we take, and there's, like, these little cups. You get a flight, and so it's not very much alcohol, but you can try a little bit of each. And it's kind of fun for us.
I do food tours, basically. I just go anywhere there's food.
Well, that's definitely the Baptist way.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, so drinking is horrible. Gluttony's go for it. Do what you got to do, man. That's
pretty much.
Yeah, you're just living for Jesus at that point. So yeah, no, I understand. And I've lived that gluttony life. So
yeah, me too. That's I've tried so many different diets and stuff. Right now, I'm doing this. I only eat for an 8-hour period of the day, and then for 16 hours, I'm just drinking water and such. And so it's called intermittent fasting. And that's the only thing that I've actually been losing weight on. Like I've given up pop before and didn't lose anything. And it's that 2 days a week, I kind of basically do a 500 calorie fast.
Okay, yeah.
And then the rest of the days, normal eating, just condensing the amount of time I eat through the day. So
no, I have a buddy named Neil that does the exact same thing, and he's lost a ton of weight. He's cut, man. He works out all the time with it. So.
I'm down 10 pounds in about 4 weeks, and so.
Dusty, just ask your sister how she did it.
Yeah, my sister working out like crazy.
Oh yeah. Did you go have the surgery if you want to? I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. Just figure out how to get that.
Can you still have a surgery after you had a sex change? Like,
you know what? It was hard whenever they would not take out my breast implants. And so,
I mean, that's like 20 pounds right there.
Exactly. And so, yeah, no.
Damn, those are big.
Yeah.
I don't know how much boobs weigh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So. This is out of control.
This is out of control. Let's roll it. This is part because you are on a podcast. I forgot to mention this. You're on the Pastor's Life podcast.
Yeah, we are making a comeback. We haven't done anything in like 6 months, but we recorded one a couple days ago. So
yeah, that's us too.
Yeah, that's how it works. So my pastor Brent Kellogg and Pastor Steve Allen from Harvest Church.
Name drop?
Yeah, no, those names aren't worth
two name drops.
They're on it, and we just talk about life. Talk about actually, honestly. We just make fun of each other for about 30 minutes and then call it good. And then sometimes Jesus gets brought up, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, then there's sometimes where this kind of conversation happens and you just kind of cut to silent noise for a second or a little music while that.
We did that. So me and Steve and I have a little bit of we just kind of make fun of each other a little bit too much, and sometimes it gets maybe borderline inappropriate. So I cut some of it out, and I actually got a few emails from people. They're like, either they were offended that we would do that, or they thought they wanted to hear the real version of it. So the Baptists were the ones who were offended, by the way, just to let you know that. So
like,
sounds about right.
I can't believe you guys have so much unwholesome talk between.
Yeah.
I mean, I've honestly.
You should hear me preach then if you want to see that. So.
I have been to youth pastor conferences and stuff, and there's some pretty crazy ones out there that you're just like, how are you in youth ministry? Is this how you act like all the time?
Man, people just There is a lack, and this is crazy because I just had this whole conversation that doesn't show this, but there's a lack of holiness that people have, and I have personally. So I'm not throwing, like, there's a lack of holiness, and like the Lord's been speaking to me over the last year, and especially in the last 3-4 months about just what holiness means to me as a person, what holiness is in my relationship with Christ. And I try, even though you might not understand it sometimes, I try to at least ask God, what am I saying? Is it worth saying? Is it worth doing? I don't know. So,
well, that's the Christian life. Is you're always just what's the step to oh gosh, I do celebrate recovery, so it's like part of the steps is to look at your day and kind of examine yourself.
Yep.
And so then tomorrow you can do better.
Martin Luther said all of a Christian's life is repenting, and that's where it's come to. And I'm 30. I turned 30 last year, and that is where it is. All of my life is repenting and looking back and all that. So I agree.
So I told you we visited this church where it's called Cornerstone, and it's a new church plant, and it's just funny. But because I remember being a part of Angus, and we tried to do a push to change the name because that was one of the reasons people weren't coming. Was because our name is stupid.
Yes.
It doesn't have anything else to do besides the name. But
methodology, no.
But my wife and I were sitting in the parking lot, and we're watching people go up, and she was like, this pretty younger crowd at this church. I'm surprised because it was a Methodist church. My first time going to it was, what is it, Contemporary Methodist, I guess, pastors in jeans.
Is that a thing?
I guess now it is. It was an Asbury church plant is what it is.
Yeah.
And I said, honey, they're not younger people. We're just older. Like we're in our 30s now. So
that realization. That realization is tough.
That's like we got to be honest with ourselves here. Like we're the older crowd bringing people down. I have a theory that a lot of these pastors that are really going, like these younger guys, what are they going to do in 10 years? Because like everyone gets old. Like it doesn't change. So how are you going to transition it out of this youth mindset of everything's got to be cool and edgy and there got to be lights and all this like what are you going to do when you guys start getting older?
You transition to Life Church.
Yeah. And that's true. And that has been a big part of it.
Hey, our friend Isaiah just became the campus pastor at
Isaiah Bill?
church. Yeah.
I love Isaiah
campus
Bill.
pastor.
Yep, campus pastor at Jinx.
He's a good
and
man.
then his wife, Britton, is is teaming up with the children's ministry, the main.
Yeah. She's one of the main coordinators now. She goes to Edmond once a week.
And there's a lot of pushback from a lot of pastors I've heard about Life Church. They don't like it. They think, you go hide and maybe, I don't know. I've been to like 2 or 3 services. I can't speak to their service style or anything. I've heard Craig Rochelle preach, so I don't know what he has under his ministry, but if they're growing and they're building, and I love Isaiah Bill, I trust Isaiah Bill. I think he has a heart for God. I don't know if they are bad. Maybe you guys have a different scene.
Well,
but
I would say you can hide in that church, definitely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I go there because I can hide. I don't have to like have these fake conversations when I'm walking into this church, this Methodist church, and I'm trying to like, hey, how are you doing? Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, okay.
No, I can just go in. I mean, they have people that are greeting you and stuff as you go through.
I got a caveat to that.
Oh, shut your mouth.
I have to go to like Broken Arrow to hide. I can't hide at Jinx or...
Well, because most of the people at the churches we've been into in the past now go to
either
Life
Jinx
Church.
or they go to the first one in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Midtown or whatever it's called. So when I go, we have to go like Broken Arrow if we want to hide.
Do you feel like you're getting fed at that church when you go?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
Well, to an extent. Feel like you have to read on your own as well.
Of course.
Like do your own.
No, that's just a mature Christian.
So Matt, thanks for coming in. I don't know how much of this podcast we're going to use.
That's usually what happens when I'm on.
I'm going to have to redact some things and save us from the embarrassment.
Just don't get me fired. That's all I ask. So.
No, I'll
Can
try.
you get fired from there?
You know what? Probably. I've reached the line.
That's a funny topic. I guess we won't get into it, but like if God calls you to the church, but then the people can fire you? Does that are the people speaking for God as far as God's no longer calling you
So
here?
does God call people to certain churches?
Yeah, I've always been told that that God's everywhere, go where the money is. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's completely wise advice, but
that's not bad though. I like it. So I've failed that one apparently. So,
but thanks for coming, man. Tune in to the Pastor's Life podcast. They're recording some new ones right now, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
So you'll be releasing those soon.
Come check us out.
And check them out. Check us out. And again, thanks to Ricardo for providing us our sweet intro and outro music. And thanks to you for being here, Matt Barnett.
I love Ricardo. I didn't know he put your music on. I was listening. That's cool.
Yeah, I bought his CD, and I was like, can I use your music?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, whatever. He is the most genuinely nice guy I know.
Seriously, I love Ricardo.
And
I love his family.
I don't know his family, but I know Ricardo. So anyways, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, tune in, and we'll have something for you.
Later.